Running meta ads for installation or HVAC businesses honestly isn't hard in 2026. It's actually very easy and people just seem to overcomplicate it. But people don't understand the two core concepts, which is number one, messaging. Number two is pixel conditioning. And these things are very, very simple. They're quite self-explanatory, but people tend to complicate it a bit too much. Now, think of it like this. Messaging is the first point of contact that you get on the platform. This dictates who you're going to reach, who you're going to attract, who the algorithm is going to feel are most probable to enjoy your content and engage with it, and all of these things attached. So let me give you an example. If you want only retrofits and residential homeowners, you're not going to say, insulate your commercial building to keep ROI high and not have things go obsolete because of condensation or this or that or the other, right? Obviously, the homeowners don't give a monkeys about that, and you're not actually targeting correctly. You have to speak their language to the ultimate extent, and even on the back end, which I'm not going to go into that, it has to correlate. You can't speak to both residential, commercial, metal buildings, or new construction, whatever it is, in the same language. They don't want to hear the same things and they don't resonate with it. So let me break down messaging for you, okay? Messaging. Now, there are different ways that you can scale your ads. Number one, if you only focus on one pocket of oil, which is one audience. So let's say I'm focusing on retrofits. That is a pocket of oil. That's one little here. And then you have a bigger one, which might be new construction, speaking to builders. And then there might be a commercial. These are pocket of oils. If you go down with an oil rig and you try to suck it out, obviously you're going to get it. But at one point, you're going to exhaust it. And no matter how much you try to do, you're not going to fill up the tank, right? It's already full. So if you try to scale your ad spend, the only thing that's going to increase is your cost per result and your cost per acquisition, which means you need to look for different pockets of oil, right? You need to start filling up that tank, and then so on and so on and so on. And the way that you're able to do that is by having messaging hit different people. So again, you got the retrofit, you got the new construction, which in this one here, actually, I'm not going to go into that much detail. Again, it's not a lie. I am here to educate you, but also I do care about your money. I care about growing your business and I care about getting paid, which means I have to withhold some information which my clients get. Also, it wouldn't be fair to them if they pay me for this content and I just give it to you for free, right? So again, just a high level. We got the retrofits, we got the new construction, we got the commercial, and so on and so on. Now, without telling you everything that I need to tell you, there's ways to expand this even further, and you can branch things out. But again, I'll let you think about that. As an example though, because a lot of people do this, is for retrofits, they care about comfort, right? They care about cost savings. But again, these are very high level demands. Everyone wants to be comfortable, everyone wants to save money, but you're not actually speaking about why people want that. A lot of you might be familiar with Maslow's hierarchy of needs, whereby you have different stages within, and the only way to get to the very top, which is self-actualization, is by ticking off every single one. You can't just go from physiological needs to self-actualization. You have to go through these ones to get to the top. Now, if you look at comfort, by the way, do research this. I'm not going to break this down entirely for you, but do research comfort and see where that falls. That to me would fall under safety, right? Cost savings, if you're not dying, if you don't decrease the cost of things, you're going to go homeless or this or that or the other. It doesn't fall into physiological either. It might fall onto safety, or even there's one to do with social settings and how you play and this, that, and the other, relationships, whatever. So it might just be because you're not saving money, you don't get to go to the pub as often as you want, for example. But again, this is actually not the core route, which means that it's a weak incentive for people to actually act. So therefore, you want to amplify with the base level, the human needs, the human necessities to survive. And then that way they can climb up the rank, like I mentioned. But we digress. That is the messaging. I'm not going to go too much more into detail, but at the base level of it, just to summarize, messaging is the most important. If you keep hitting the same pockets of oil or pockets of audiences, you are limited in scale. So you want to be hitting different people in their language with their pain points, but always speaking directly to the base level of what they need. Obviously, sometimes it won't be physiological. For example, commercial, yes, you can speak on ROI, but it might not hit the same as, I'm going to give you some source here, but retrofit. If in the winter, it's freezing cold and they don't have any sort of furnace or anything to regulate the temperatures inside, and the children keep getting sick and the family keeps getting sick, as the man of the house or the mom, they're going to feel a need to protect. They're going to feel a need to keep their children safe. So making an investment into whether it is HVAC or whether it's installation, it makes more sense. it doesn't feel like a luxury, it feels like a necessity, because they're not just making their house work more or increasing the comfort of their house, they're essentially making sure that their children are healthy or rid of illness, which again creates a lot more impact than just, we're going to make your house more comfortable, we're going to get rid of the cold spots. So no one cares. Well, maybe people care, but clearly not as much. Again, remember, insulation, depending on what you're doing, is the thousands or tens of thousands worth of a job. So reflect it as such. And then the next one is pixel conditioning. Pixel conditioning is essentially us telling Meta, okay, the people that you're giving us, we want more of this, we don't want this, and we don't want this, but we really, really like this. And there's multiple different ways of doing it. Number one, you have to understand that Meta has 52,000 data points, which it's picking up at any given moment. So it's very good at understanding who to target in the first place. But sometimes Meta doesn't know who is who. So for example, we only work with businesses doing over 30K a month, right? However, some people will see the ads and that's not going to stop them from applying, because obviously they might think, okay, if I speak to them, I might get away, or this or that or the other, which again is great because Meta thinks they want it, so they give us more. But then we have to actually manually tell them that no, we don't want them, actually give us less. But you have to understand that Meta, because it has so many data points, one of them even being your camera. So here's something interesting. This is actually patented. Meta will take a picture of you when you're watching an ad to see your facial reaction and place that emotion against something on the system. If you like that kind of content, just reload your page and see how much more of it you get. It's that good. It's also got another patent, which basically says it has access to your microphone to listen to your TV to see what you're watching on TV, so it can give you ads there. Obviously, they have to limit what they're saying, but we all know what that means. It just means they're listening to your conversations and everything else. I'm sure you've probably spoken about something in the past, and next thing you know, boom. Like, we'll be speaking about McDonald's and next thing you know, you see McDonald's ads. It's just how it works. It's that good. So messaging, very, very important. Basically exactly what I said. But pixel conditioning is our way to take control over the data that we get, or the data that we get more of. So from that one there's two ways of doing it. There's the meta pixel, which is essentially if someone lands on a page, then you go here. If someone goes to a certain page or the schedule page or so on, then feed back to Meta. And obviously this only happens if they submit the answers that we want, which means we get more of. Or there's another way, which is obviously a lot more controlled because we're not relying on people landing on a page, which is CAPI. So this is short for Conversions API, which happens offline. So on the platform or the CRM that you're using, you're basically going to say, okay, if people answer the way that we like it, let's say they want the job done ASAP, I have money and I can go now, then obviously we're going to use that information. Then on the back end, we actually want to feed that back to Meta. So on the platform, we're going to say, if all of these things happen, then send this back as a lead event worth however much we want it to be worth. Or even better, if this lead now calls the team or schedules online with all of the answers that we want to tell Meta that this is a schedule also with an event. And these conversion values basically tell Meta how much a lead is worth. But also we want to be optimizing for the event, which is most probable to increase the conversion rate, right? So schedule is a really, really high standard event, but then there's even better after that. If someone comes in as a lead, give us exactly what we want, schedules an appointment with the team, and then purchases, that is the gold mine. And that's what we want to be optimizing for. Now, obviously this is common sense. We want purchases, but there is a little intricacy which I will explain. Lead is an instant event. It happens as soon as a lead comes in. The schedule can take a few hours, if not a couple of days, right? And this would be, obviously this is good, but it can also be a delayed attribution. But purchases isn't going to happen straight away. Purchases actually takes longer, obviously depending on the client, whether it's retrofit or a new build. It might take a couple of days, weeks, or sometimes even months. So that means that it's delayed. So what does that actually result in? We can't launch it ASAP. We have to launch lower quality standard events such as schedule, even though that's still really high, until we get enough data on purchase. Once you start running your campaign and you're absolutely cooking on gas and you're making a lot of money, then it's a good option to optimize for purchase events, which is also a standard event, which means that there's a lot of data from Meta. But I'm going to cut it there. Obviously, I gave you a lot of information here, but this is the base of it. There's a lot that goes into this and the technical side, the understanding of it and the development of it. But for now, I'll leave you there. If you want us, obviously, We give you the information and we sell the implementation. Of course, you can do this yourself. ChatGPT, Gemini, and all of these other things will obviously be able to help you and give you most of it. But when it's time to invest, then you know where to find us. Book a scaling call with our team. We'd be more than happy to walk you through the leaky buckets in your business and tell you exactly where we can increase the revenue. And again, finally grow to 7 figures or add another 7 figures in your business in 2026. And as Jeremy Haynes will say, get rich up.